What is going on, everybody? Hello, my name is Thanasi, and this is the Money Shift in the Morning show. Hope everyone is doing well. This is a daily automotive news show. I'm going to warn you guys in advance. We only got 50 minutes today. I got a hard stop at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, but we have a packed show today. We got Corvette coming out with a video that we are going to watch several times over the course of this program that shows off the sounds of the new Z06. And guys, it sounds insane. We also got some Kia news, some Volvo news, some Neo news, some Porsche news, and some Ford news. So we got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. We drink right out of the gallon, boys. You already know what we do. All right, so I'm going to hit the share button on the good old Facebook, and then we can get started with this bitchin' video. And guys, I mean it when I say this is a video that you need to see, and if you haven't already, we're gonna have some problems. You're plain and simple, we're gonna have problems. Well, I guess it goes further than that, right? You guys are just going to be really excited then when you see this video, because true to the title of this episode, this car really does sound like a goddamn Ferrari. Like, it is crazy how akin to a Ferrari the new Corvette sounds. I could not be more excited to see what this thing looks like, because just based on this sound alone, this naturally aspirated flat plane crank, right? It's a 5.5 liter engine that revs close to 9,000 RPM, should make 600 plus horsepower with an 8-speed dual clutch transmission. So that flat plane crank and the lower engine size allows it to spin higher, and it gives it a smoother, high-pitched sound than a regular cross-plane V8, which is what the C8 Corvette Stingray has. So it's going to be exciting to see this thing come to fruition. We got a couple folks in here now, so I'll give you guys the treat, and we will play this noise, and I'm going to shut up. I might just, expletives, but it is what it is. So we're cranking it up. Actually, let's restart it. And remember, everything in this video is the new Corvette Z06 Sound. There's no Ferrari. There's no Lambo. This isn't a Top Gear video. This is Chevrolet's video about the 2023 Corvette Z06, which, by the way, means we're going to see it soon. Anyway, let's see it. A lot of good things there. Number one, this scene, I know it's Circuit of the Americas, you can tell because not only of this straightaway, but because of this tall lookout post here. This like gives me Imola vibes, like we're testing a Ferrari. Like, that's the vibes I got from this part. And that sound is insane, by the way. And they are right, because there's obviously going to be more Z06s than there are, 458s. So you're just going to hear this thing mulling around and listen to it at idle. One more time at idle. That sounds pretty nasty, guys. That sounds pretty nasty. And again, the details that we do know about the Stingray is that it's a 5.5 liter flat plane crank V8 that will likely be making around 600 horsepower, guys, which is crazy to even think about. All right, let's get into today's news, and then we will play that video again for those folks that joined late. The first bit of news that we have to talk about is the Kia Stinger. May we pour one out for the Kia Stinger because it is officially DED, dead. Everyone is just dumb as hell. And and that seems clear because this Kia Stinger did not sell well, and it makes no sense to me why it did not. If we look at the intangibles, okay, let's look at the details of the Kia Stinger, and then let me talk about what specifically is going down. In base price, in base form, for $36,000, you get a turbocharged 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine. That 4-cylinder engine gets 300 horsepower, 311 pound-feet of torque. Now, you step it up to the GT1, you get a 3.3-liter V6 twin-turbo engine. That engine gets 368 horsepower, 376 pound-feet of torque. Now, that car comes in at $43,000. 43 grand gets you 368 horsepower. 43 grand gets you 376 pound-feet of torque. Shout out to Tim. Welcome, my man. Welcome, welcome. 43 grand gets you rear-wheel drive. 43 grand gets you a good interior. 43 grand gets you all of that. But instead, okay, you went out, instead of buying a Kia Stinger because you saw the badge and you were like, ugh, I'm not going to spend 40 grand on a Kia. Instead, you went out and you spent your 40 grand, your 45 grand on an M2 35 grand coupe. Instead, you spent your 40 grand on a 330i sedan, which has 250 horsepower, 4-cylinder rear-wheel drive. Do you see the disconnect here, guys? Like, what the car that the Kia Stinger was, what it offered, what it brought to the market was a vehicle that we lost from Lexus, the GS. Okay, rear-wheel drive, big, spacious, fun to drive. That's what the Lexus GS was, and that is what the Stinger is. Okay, we lost the GS in favor of the Lexus elderly sedan, the ES. Okay, but things were okay because we still had the Kia Stinger to pick up the mantle for a large rear-wheel drive sedan that was luxurious and fun to drive. And now we're losing it. Q2 2022, for all intents and purposes, the Kia Stinger is dead. So this is your last chance to get the Kia Stinger, and it could not be a better time. They just revised it for 2022. So it has an updated front fascia, updated rear fascia that you can see here. If you opt for something like that gray one, you get the Scorpion pack, you get a unique rear wing, you get blacked out trim, you get unique wheels. Let's not forget, you also get Brembo brakes in the top trims, limited slip differentials. Like, this thing is set up. This thing is stacked. And now the interior of the new Kia Stinger, the interior for the 2022, where they revised the screen and gave it a more premium screen, makes it a great place to be all around, both inside and out. And if these things aren't selling well, this might be the only vehicle that you could get for below MSRP at a dealership lot today. And if that's the case, and if you're considering a sedan and you're looking to be around that 40,000 mark, consider a GT1 Stinger, because you'll likely be able to get it for that, and it is a lot of car for the money. So rest in peace to the Kia Stinger. May you live forever. May you return, whether that's as a Genesis, even though I know it's a G80, guys, I understand. May the ethos of the Kia Stinger live forever. Rest in peace. Pour one out. For the Kia Stinger. Moving on to a vehicle that shouldn't exist when the Kia Stinger is dying, we have the Volvo C40 Recharge. But before we do, Tim says, in the end of the day, people see it as a Kia. It may be a great car, but people see it as a Kia. Volkswagen made some awesome cars, but for many years, people saw them as Volkswagens when Volkswagens meant inexpensive, simple car. Chevrolet made the SS, another great car, but it has zero marketing. Yeah, it's an interesting point, Tim, because you're spot on with the Kia reference, right? There's folks to this day that still cannot see past what Kia and Hyundai was in the early or in the late 90s, early 2000s, right? They see a modern Kia, they see a modern Hyundai, they see a Genesis, and they see a car that's prone to braking. They see a car that has a plastic interior. They see a car that is just a laughingstock, honestly, of the road, right? You'd be stupid to buy a late 90s, early 2000s Hyundai instead of a Toyota. You'd be dumb to buy a late 90s, early 2000s Kia instead of a Honda, right? You would be. And now that that's changed, it hasn't changed in the minds of the folks that were buying cars, that were driving cars around that era. It hasn't. And why should it, to some degree, right? And I would say because they've earned it, right? They've shown over the last, half a decade now that they've made tremendous vehicles, and that's part of the reason why, John, who comes into the stream from time to time, makes fun of me for mentioning Korean car news all the time. And Brandon, I believe, on the last podcast talked about, why I said Hyundai was taken over. But it's true. One of the things that I want to talk about in this show constantly is always highlighting good vehicles. So if that means trashing Honda when they make something bad, but continuing to pump up Kia and Hyundai and Genesis when they make something good, I'm going to do it. So hopefully we can change the minds of some, at least astute Money Shift listeners, by listening to this podcast. But that's definitely a thing, and Volkswagen is a good point to bring up there. The Chevrolet SS is a bit of a different beast, honestly. There's some news that came out about the Chevrolet SS about an agreement that they had. Hold on, let me pull it up. And some people point to marketing, right, as to why the Chevrolet SS fails. My take actually is it isn't marketing at all. It was cost. Because much like people weren't willing to spend $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on a Kia, folks weren't necessarily willing to spend $50,000 on a manual Chevrolet sedan that looked very nondescript by Chevrolet standards. It wasn't wild. It wasn't crazy. It wasn't inherently premium. And because of that, they didn't receive a lot of public interest. And because they didn't receive a lot of public interest, they didn't push a lot of marketing behind it. And 1 + 1 = 2, right? So, yeah, I think it's a bit of an interesting thing. Hold on a sec. Oh yeah. The last good point about the SS was name recognition. They could have easily called it an Impala. They could have easily called it a Caprice, SS, something like that, the return of the name. Instead, they called it the SS. The car was doomed on arrival, 100%. Okay, but let's move on quickly to the Volvo C40 Recharge. What you guys are looking at here is the second all-electric SUV from Volvo. This is so obviously based on the XC40, but because it is a slope back, it is a C40, because Volvo calls all their coupes C, not XC. Got it? Now, 2 trims of this are going to be available. Shout out to Brandon. Good morning to you, sir. We got a hard stop at 9 o'clock today, but we're going to churn through all the car news. Don't you worry. So this is the Volvo C40, guys. Let me give you the details of what you're looking at. You're looking at a 78 kilowatt-hour battery, all-wheel drive thing. Because it's all-wheel drive, that means it's dual motor. This thing actually makes 402 horsepower, 487 pound-feet of torque. It is capable of doing 0 to 60 in just 4.5 seconds, which for an SUV is fast. I don't know if you guys remember, not 5-10 years ago, under 5 seconds was quick. I know it seems commonplace now. Cars are too damn fast. We've talked about this on the show. I've ranted about it many a time. Cars are too damn fast. But anyway, I digress. The range of this guy is pretty interesting. So the regular XC40 gets around 208 miles of range. But interestingly enough, due to the coupe shape of this C40, it actually has a better aerodynamic profile. And because of that, gets about 12 miles more range. So you're looking at 220 miles of range here, which, again, not so much. And we'll get to its biggest competitor in just a second. The price of this car, base price, is $58,750. Now, if you live in the United States, this car does still, in fact, qualify for the $7,500 federal tax credit, but in most states, it does not qualify for the state incentive. A lot of states have a $50,000 cap on what they will give you for any electric car credit, so this car will not qualify for that, regardless of any sort of credit you get. Now it gets interesting because we talk about its biggest competitor, and its biggest competitor is clear, right? The Tesla Model Y is most certainly the XC40 and C40's biggest competitor. And if we compare stats, doesn't look so hot for the Volvo. I'm going to be honest with you guys. The Model Y base form long range is $52,000, so it's $6,000 cheaper than the Volvo. The Model Y gets 326 miles of range, which is about 100 more than the Volvo. So while the Volvo is 0.3 of a second quicker than the base version, if you step it up to the performance, which costs just $1,000 more than the C40, you're looking at a car that does 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. So the C40, honestly, right now doesn't hold the candle to the stats, the hardcore sheer stats that the Tesla provides. But what it does do is it probably provides a more comfier driving experience. It provides a better user operating system. The Android operating system in the Volvo C40 and XC40 and the Polestar 1 and Polestar 2 is one of the better systems on the market today. In addition to that, if you upgrade to the Ultimate trim, you get a pano roof, pixel LED sunlights, pilot assist, 360-degree cameras, etc., etc., etc. So this thing definitely comes fully equipped. But when it comes down to it, unless you're hell-bent on getting that Volvo, unless you're determined on having the electric Volvo, it right now is not the best electric vehicle on the market unless you can get some pretty heavy incentives. Spending $60,000 for something that doesn't even hold a candle to the Mach-E or the Model Y, never mind the Volkswagen ID.4, which costs almost $20,000 less. Volvo's going to have to come down a lot in price if they're going to want people to buy these things. That is faux damn certain. Moving on to this, guys, what you are looking at right now are images from NIO. NIO is an electric car company out of China, and if you guys don't know them, get familiar. NIO Motors is claimed to fame. Honestly, one of the things that they do that is the most interesting is they offer a battery swap technology. They have battery swap stations all over China. So think about this, okay? You're driving your electric car and you're running low, but you don't have the half hour or the 40 minutes that it takes to charge these cars from 0 to 100. So instead, what you do is you make an appointment on your NIO app to a NIO station. You drive up, you pull in your car, or someone pulls it in for you. I don't remember specifically that. 5 minutes later, bang, battery swapped, you're out of there. And that time to do that, to go from 0 to 100, thanks to that battery swap ability, is roughly the same that it takes for you to charge your, to fill your car with gas, right? Maybe a little longer. So that's step one. Really great technology from NIO. Step two that the battery swap technology offers you is the ability to upgrade should you need it. Are you going on a long trip? Do you got a road trip tomorrow somewhere where you would need the extra range? A place where having a little bit more time in between stops is something that you could benefit from? Well, hey, no worries. Just get the bigger battery. Just get the more range. Pay the price to get the bigger stuff, the bigger unit. Now, NIO does make a really, really large battery. Their top car has a capability of 621 miles of range. So, and it is available, that modern battery, that battery they just came out with this year is available in all their cars. So if you bought a 2018 NIO, you could swap to that new battery at a battery station. And that is so cool, guys. Like, that is a really awesome technology. And honestly, it's the biggest blocker to a lot of people for electric, right? Is, oh, well, I can fill up my gas car in 5 minutes. I need to do that with my electric car too. Well, NIO comes in and says, hey, we got you, fam. You can do that, no problem. So pretty cool stuff. But anyway, what you guys are looking at here are some patent images from NIO for their newest machine. This is an EP9 convertible roadster. and it looks sexy as all hell. So it is based on the Neo EP9, which is one of the fastest electric vehicles to date. The Neo EP9 came out... When did it come out? I don't remember when it debuted. Let me look that up. It debuted in 2018. And in 2018, when it debuted, it beat the Nürburgring World Record. It beat the autonomous record around the Circuit of the Americas. It held the Goodwood record for a short period of time. The Neo EP9 was serious, and it's easy to see why. It had 4 electric motors, making 1,341 horsepower, 1,091 pound-feet of torque. This thing could do 0 to 60 in 2.7 seconds. This thing could get 194 miles an hour. So if this thing is anything like the coupe for which it is based, not only will it look tremendous, but it'll be fast as all hell. So I'm definitely excited to see it. And again, it'll add to Neo's ever expanding lineup, which right now is the ET7, which is a large sedan, and 3 SUVs, 1 coupe-like SUV, and then 2 other normal SUVs. And Neo is pushing very hard to consistently innovate, and having a cool halo car like this, one that is gorgeous, will definitely help their cause in terms of painting their perception in the minds of many. But the next bit of news here comes by way... I don't like this beat, guys. I don't know about you guys. Sorry if you're listening to this music. I don't like it at all. Wow, this is a lo-fi channel that's on Will Smith's YouTube. Kudos to Will Smith. Smart. Okay. Derek, is there anything about them coming to the States? And Derek, I don't mean to correct you. I don't mean to sound rude. But Neo is spelled N-I-O, not N-E-O, but I got what you're saying. And their plan is to come to the United States at some point, but it's not going to be for a bit. When Neo outlined their expansion plan recently, they said that they were going to start in Europe before they made their way to the United States. That said, hold on one second. I just found an article. Okay. So that said, things could change, right? Neo is actively hiring in the United States as it stands. If you go to their LinkedIn, you currently can apply to work for Neo. So they're definitely a company you can work for at this point in the United States. That said, though, going back to my previous point, they are planning to expand by way of Europe first and conquer Norway, conquer Sweden, conquer all of those geos, and set up their battery swap tech there before they come to the US. Think about it this way, okay? If a Chinese EV manufacturer right now was to come to the United States, they would not be able... Neo today would not be able to set up their battery swap stations at all. They wouldn't. The minds of the American people towards Chinese manufacturers is at an all-time low, right? So Neo sees that, and they want to hire in the US to slowly alter and change that perception, right? But for now, they're going to start with Europe first, which makes more sense. There's a bigger EV adoption in countries like Norway and Sweden than there is in the United States, right? Norway outpaced gas cars with electric sales all of last year and continues to do so this year. So they're making their way there first, and then they're going to come to the United States. So no news yet. February, they said they weren't going to be coming. Xpeng might be coming sooner than that, which is another Tesla rival. But as it stands right now, Neo will not be coming. Not yet. All right. So what are we looking at on screen? We are looking at what's supposed to be a revised version of the Porsche Macan. Now, if you guys see the changes here, so do I. That's a Greek phrase. The Greek phrase is "Ama to είδες εσύ το είδα και εγώ," which is like, if you saw it, so did I. Like if you noticed something, I did as well. Which is to say that the changes aren't big here. Okay. Now the changes are as follows: revised front bumper. You can see it right here. Revised rear bumper with a diffuser section. You can get clear tail lights on the Macan. Thank Christ. And that's pretty much it. in terms of exterior redesign. But where the changes mainly lie is in the engine and in the trim model. So the base Macan gets a big power boost. That 2.0-liter turbocharged four-cylinder that finds its way into the base Macan now has 261 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque, which is up 13 horsepower and up 22 torque from the previous base Macan. But keep going. If you opt for a Macan S, you now get the old GTS engine in your Macan, which is pretty awesome. That engine is a 2.9-liter twin turbocharged V6 that if you outfit it correctly, you could be hitting 0 to 60 in 4 seconds, which is crazy. So the S effectively has the old GTS engine. Guys, I haven't had any coffee yet. Can you believe that? Jesus. So the S has the old GTS engine, and the GTS now is the top tier Macan because it has the old turbo engine. The GTS now has 434 horsepower, whereas the S has, where did my notes screen go? 375 horsepower. So a quick recap. The base Macan is a 2-liter turbo making 261 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque. The S utilizes the last generation GTS engine, and it makes 375 horsepower, 383 pound-feet of torque. And the GTS utilizes the old turbo engine. It makes 434 horsepower, 406 pound-feet of torque. Now, if you opt for the S, you get adaptive dampers standard. The GTS also comes with the tungsten carbide brakes that we saw on the Cayenne. And looks pretty good. I mean, the Macan has always been one of the better looking vehicles since its release in 2014. Guys, this car has been around for 7 years. And with minor changes, very minor changes, you can still see a lot of the original Macan in this. It's not like they drastically changed a lot of the components. With a lot of minor changes, it still looks damn good. New headlights, new taillights did wonders for keeping this car relevant, and we can all see the changes they made to the interior, right? Capacitive buttons, larger screen. It definitely looks more welcoming and inviting than the first generation of Macan. Now, the interesting thing is price. Price for the 2022 Macan starts at $54,900 for the base 4-cylinder model. The S steps it up $10K to $65,400, and the GTS starts at $79,000. So $65K is definitely a lot of money, but that is definitely the value play here. Here it is, the S. You're seeing it on screen right now. Looks the part, definitely sounds the part, and has all the performance. And if you compare it to its competition, we look to BMW, okay? The BMW X3 M comes in at $69,000. And it has 473 horsepower. So you would have to, or excuse me. Okay. So the BMW X3 M40i, which has similar stats to the S, comes in at $56,000, which is like roughly $10K cheaper. So you can save $10K, you can buy a BMW, or you can spend $10K more and buy a car that you'll actually enjoy to drive. Zinger. That hurts. Now, the last vehicle we're going to talk about today before we get back into video time is the Ford F-150 Lightning. Now, those of you that watch the show know that I personally have a deposit on a Lightning. I made it within 2 minutes of the car debuting. The moment I saw what it looked like, I was all in. And then the performance and the features of it were just a plus, right? It has the right amount of range. It has the right amount of interior features. This frunk alone made it worth it, right? But where things got crazy to me was when Ford talked about the price. Now, the Ford Lightning is the brand's first electric pickup, okay? It's the first electric pickup for Ford. So you would think that it would be on the higher end, right? Look to cars like Rivian that are costing $60K. right? Things like that. But when Ford came out and said this thing was going to have a base price of $39,000, I damn near fell out of my chair. And the reason for that, the reason why I almost lost it, was because if you compared it to a gasoline version of the F-150, its price was remarkably close. Now, the F-150 Lightning only comes in Super Crew form, so it only comes in that 4-seat form. And if you compare the cheapest Super Crew, okay, to the F-150 Lightning, the cheapest all-wheel drive Super Crew, you're looking at $40,000. It's literally the same price. So how was the brand able to do that? And that is where it gets really interesting. Ford denotes that they were able to do it thanks to the purchasing power they have, thanks to the F-150. Now, it should come as no surprise that when you're ordering things in as mass and in as large quantities as Ford is with the Lightning, you get some purchasing power, right? And we learned about this back in the day with companies like Walmart, who Walmart would get companies to make things cheaper for them because they would just buy so much more. So that when you would go into Walmart, that Sony TV at Walmart costs $800, but at Target it costs $850. And it's because Walmart's buying way more of them. So you can save $15 by going to Walmart. And Ford, it's the exact same situation. Here's a quote from Darren Palmer, who's the GM of Ford's battery electric vehicles. He said the secret to getting the price down was the electric truck was scale. He said, quote, so the top half of this truck has a scale of 4 million units, meaning the body, right? He's like, we buy 4 million Ford F-150. We create 4 million Ford F-150 bodies a year. That seat, he says, we buy 4 million of. We get the best price in the industry. That front trunk, apart from the unique components, the whole rest of the truck, we get 4 million units. So we get the best price in the industry. And although there's new components to the Lightning, like the frame, like the suspension, Ford says that they're using the same supplier that they build the F-150 for this car. So even though it's a new frame, even though it's new suspension, they can negotiate a really good deal for this truck. Ford goes even further by saying they were even able to lower the price of the batteries thanks to the design that allows them to share it with other vehicles. Now, this part isn't a new concept, right? Everyone does this. The batteries that are in the Model Y are in the Model 3. The batteries that are in the Model S are in the Model X. The batteries that are in the ID4 are going to be in the ID3, are going to be in the ID8. The batteries that are in the XC40 Recharge are in the C40 Recharge, et cetera, et cetera. So Ford isn't blowing any minds there. But in addition to those savings, they also have the immense amount of scale that buying a Ford F-150 gets you. Now, Palmer says, I wanted it at a price that is within gas or nearby, because then the barrier is gone. The psychological barrier in the mind, once they flip, they've gone for it. They never want to go back. But getting them to flip, because their current truck works pretty well, it's hard. And he's right. So if they wanted the best chance to not only flip fleets, but to flip the common man, my next door neighbor who has multiple Super Duties, if they want a chance to flip that person, their best shot is to not only produce something that's worth a damn, but to produce something that comes close in price. So when the base commercial version, the truck that you're looking at right here with the black bumper, with the no LED across the grille, when this thing costs $39,000, which is $3,000 off of a bone stock gas-powered F-150, that's insane. That's insane. And they had to do it. They had to do it. And it worked for me. It convinced me. 100%. Convinced me. I don't know when this thing's coming, if it's going to be on time next year, but if it is, I'm all in. Has ordering info been released, trims, etc.? Yes, it has. Yes, it has. So we can dive into that quickly. So the F-150 Lightning will have a variety of trims. Let me scroll down and I can share with you guys my screen and we can look at what the trims are. Here we go. Let me do this. Let me do that. Bang. Okay. I think you guys can see this. So the base trim all the way here on the left, that is the one that I'm showing in this photo here. That is the Pro. Now the Pro loses, you can see it here, it loses the LED strip across the front. It doesn't have a body colored bumper, but what it does have is the 10-inch screen standard. What it does have is all-wheel drive. What it does have is 230 miles of range standard. And you can get optional 300 miles of range. What it does have is Ford Copilot 360 standard, which is all the driver assist stuff. So you get a 12-inch touchscreen, which, by the way, is the optional touchscreen on the F-150. That is the premium touchscreen. You get it standard in the Lightning. And you get vinyl seating for $39K. Now you step it up to the XLT here. This red guy. This guy costs around 50 grand, 48-ish, I believe. I think it's going to come in. And in addition to the body color components, in addition to the LED strip all the way across the hood, you get cloth seating standard, extended running boards, 360-degree camera, interior work surface. Shout out to Michael. What is up, my dude? You also get a 9.6 kilowatt Pro onboard charger. So what you can use to power things, right? So we go Pro, we go XLT, and then we step it up to Lariat. Lariat gets you in terms of exterior wise, not much difference over the XLT. But what it does give you is a satin grille, so they change the color of the grille, 20-inch wheels, leather seats, ventilated seats, power tailgate, 15.5-inch touchscreen. This is the large Mach-E touchscreen, which, by the way, I don't actually like. And you can get a sunroof. And you step it up all the way to the Platinum. This is the truck, like the gas F-150, by the way, that is expensive as all hell. This Platinum can get up to like 90 grand, if I remember correctly. But for that 90 grand, okay, you get 22s, which kind of look hype. I'm going to be honest. You get black tinted chrome grille. Heated ventilated seats with Nirvana leather, whatever the hell that means. Multi-contour seats with active motion. You love that. You get the extended battery range, extended battery standard, which is the 300 miles of range. You get a Bang & Olufsen audio system, Ford Copilot 360, and the sunroof, all stock. So there is a wide variety of Lightning. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think I lie here. I think the Pro and the XLT are the ones to get. I can do without leather in my truck, so because of that, I don't need the Lariat or the Platinum. And the XLT and the Pro offer everything you need. You get the upgraded infotainment. That 12-inch screen is a real good one that's in the F-150 today. You can get 300 miles of range. You can get all of that. You can get it in these two trucks. So why spend more than $50K if you don't have to? And $50K is a great price point. Why? Because we go over here. We go to the fine folks at Tesla. Do they have the Cybertruck up? Tesla Cybertruck. There we go. There we go. When you look at the price of this thing, it's very similar. Very similar. With one big difference. The single motor rear wheel drive truck, the Tesla that starts at $39,000, that gets a little more range than the Lightning, 10 more, I believe, is rear wheel drive. The base F-150 is all wheel drive. That's huge for a lot of people. So the $39,000 in Ford land gets you an all wheel drive truck. The $39,000 in Tesla land gets you a rear wheel drive truck. Okay. Step it up to the dual motor all wheel drive. Now you have a truck that's competing with the XLT. Spot on. Okay. They get the same range. They have the same towing capacity. They have similar 0 to 60, and they have the same price. So you're picking which one, you're picking which brand you like better, and you're picking which look you like better. And if you pick Tesla, part of you thinks that this full self-driving thing is going to work out, right? Where the Ford cannot compete with Tesla on the statistics side of things is when you step up to tri-motor. Tri-motor gets 500 miles of range. Crazy 0 to 60 time. I don't really care about that. 14,000 pound towing capacity, 500 miles of range, $70,000. That $70,000 is likely around the price of a platinum truck, which for Ford gets 300 miles of range. So that's where Tesla goes above and beyond Ford. But for the single motor and the dual motor, they're lockstep. They're dead on. So if people say, you know, you got to go Tesla to get the best, Ford match them. Ford matched them in all respects. And that is good news. Now, coming in at the 5th hour today, we got some news from GMC. Check this out. GMC reveals new details about its other electric pickup, the Sierra EV. GM announced Hummer would be joined by a more mainstream GMC full-size SUV or a pickup. It's slated to be a professional-grade version of the Silverado EV, and the brand has revealed a little more about it during a media briefing. So you can see here, Chevrolet is going to be releasing a full-size pickup, and GM is also going to be releasing a full-size pickup that is certainly the Silverado and the Sierra. Is that it? Is that the news? That's the news. Wow. All right, sick. That's really the news. The news is that it's coming. This is good news from GM overall, though. Accelerating our EV entries. 4 entries were pulled ahead. They're making the Lyriq 9 months sooner. They're making the pickup 40 months sooner. They're making their Silverado 11 months sooner, right? So that's good news from GM. Their electric technology is increasing at a really big rate. So we'll see. All right, guys, but before we head out, before we go home, you already know we had to play the video one last time. For those of you that didn't see it at the beginning of the program, the Corvette has showed off its sound. Oh, look at us above the fold here when we search Corvette. You love to see that. Where's the Chevrolet video? This isn't happening. We'll go to Chevrolet. There we go. All right. Let's pause this jazz. Okay, guys, what you're about to listen to, Derek, please turn up your speakers. This is specifically pointed at you. This is a sound clip of the new Corvette. You hate it? Just listen, my friend. I don't know if you'll hate it after the sound of this. So what you guys just heard is the 5.5 liter flat plane crank V8 that is going to be coming in the Corvette Z06. Now, a flat plane crank V8 is often reserved for the exotic, the Ferraris of the world. Okay? And this video shows it off. Even though this video is at Circuit of the Americas, you can tell by the lookout tower here. It feels like Imola. How do you not like this, Brandon? This sounds like a damn Ferrari. It does. 5.5 liter V8, 600 plus horsepower, naturally aspirated, revs to 9K. This is impossible to not like. Impossible. Tim says, sounds like a motorcycle engine. It must really rev. Yeah, Tim, this thing supposedly revs to 9,000. Brandon says, a Corvette should not sound like an Italian exotic. You know what, Brandon? So I hear you. Brandon says, Chevy trying too hard to reach exotic status. I hear ya, but a couple things to note here on my end personally. And we only have 2 minutes here, so I'm going to try to make this brief. Okay. Chevrolet Z06 is one thing in my mind. It's a track car, right? It's the car for which the Le Mans car is based on. And that car goes head-to-head, toe-to-toe with Ferraris. That car goes head-to-head, toe-to-toe with Lambos. And oftentimes it kicks their ass. It competes in an exotic domain. Now, if people are watching that car and they want to buy that car, they do. $80,000 can get them something that sounds exotic. $80,000 can get them something that looks exotic. $80,000 can get them something that's pretty damn awesome. And it's not as if the entire model line is changing to this. You want your big V8 sound? Dude, no sweat. Get a regular Corvette. You want your big V8 sound? Dude, no sweat. Get your ZR1. That's going to be coming soon, and it's probably going to be mental. So Corvette has a little duplicity here, but in the best way. They're targeting the track-oriented person with the Z06 that loves that sound, that wants that aesthetic, that wants that look, and they're capturing the people that want the exotic status for not exotic money, right? The people that want to pay $80,000 and get all the sound of a $250,000 car. And then in the same vein, they still got the regular Corvette. They're still going to be making the crazy ZR1 that has 1,000 horsepower, is going to have electric turbos, the whole nine. So they got you both. They got you covered, Brandon. They got the big V8 noises still. And then they got people like me covered with the Z06. So it's not as if they're replacing the whole Corvette lineup with this flat plane crank, right? It's just one model. So you may not like the noise. And I'm going to be honest, I think you're a little crazy. I would schedule a doctor's appointment to check. You might have a fever. There might be a couple screws loose. You know what I mean? I say that in love, Brandon. You know what I mean? But they still got you covered. It's not like they're putting this flat plane crank engine in every Corvette. You know what I'm saying? It's a fucking Corvette, Brandon says. American all day, which sounds like a deep true V8 muscle. I never liked the look of it to begin with. That's a different story. That's a different story. And I agreed with you for a long time, but then I didn't. I actually really like it for whatever reason. But guys, I do have to head out, so let's listen to this video one more time. I'm going to do a quick rundown. And then we will call it a day here. Listen to that idle. That idle is choppy. Okay, let's do a quick rundown of the news. The Kia Stinger dead in the next quarter. Q2 of 2022 will spell the end for the Kia Stinger, which is another stupid development by the American car buyer that didn't realize they had a modern GS Lexus when they saw one. Next, we move over to the Volvo camp that came out with the C40 pricing today. This thing cost upwards of $60,000 nearly, and it's something that you get only 220 miles of range. It's not it. We move on to the fine folks at NIO. NIO patented this image today, this car, which is so clearly their EP9 Vert. And if we look to their EP9 Coupe, that thing has 4 electric motors, 1,300 horsepower, and does 0 to 60 in 2.7 seconds. So super excited to see this come out. If you guys are excited for the Stinger leaving, you're missing out, because that's another good vehicle that's getting killed off. Rear-wheel drive, twin turbo, rear-wheel drive, single turbo, limited slip differential, Brembo brakes. If you guys are happy that a car like that is leaving, then I don't know what to say. You know what I mean? But this NIO, I'm super excited to see it come out. Moving on, we talk about the Macan highlights. Biggest changes: base motor gets a power boost of 13 horsepower, 22 torque. The S now has the GTS engine, and the GTS now is the top model and has the turbo engine. So a lot of good news coming by way of Macan. Still the same design from 2014, but god damn it, it still looks good, with the biggest changes coming to that rear bumper design and front bumper design, but overall the same shape, same taillights, same headlights, etc., etc. And we should be getting details about the Macan EV coming later this year. And then the last thing that we talked about today was how Ford was able to accomplish selling the Ford F-150 Lightning for under $40,000 base price. Now they were able to do that by their purchasing power. When Ford buys something that is F-150 related, they buy 4 million units of it. And when you buy 4 million units of it, you can ask for a cheap price. And they were able to do it. Brandon says, was price too high for the Kia name? I'm not happy it's leaving, but Kia swinging too hard for that car, which hurts sales. I don't know if I agree with that at all, Brandon. And I'll tell you why. Because a GT line Kia Stinger, which is a 300 horsepower rear-wheel drive sedan, costs $36,000. Now, I'll tell you what else costs $36,000, or what else costs close to $36,000, and that's a fully loaded Honda Accord. A fully loaded Honda Accord. I'll give you the exact price right now. If I build and price a Honda Accord right now, a Honda Accord Touring costs $36,900. $36,900. So for the same price, you're buying a front-wheel drive Honda Accord instead of a rear-wheel drive, limited slip differential, Brembo brake having Kia Stinger. I don't know, man. Couple screws loose there. You know what I mean? The exact same price as a top spec Honda Accord. You're getting all those features in a Kia Stinger, and it's available for you. But it's a Kia. If you still got the perception in your head that Kias are bad, my friend, you are missing out on a lot of good vehicles. I urge you to go drive a Kia Stinger. I urge you to go drive a Kia Telluride. I urge you to go drive literally any of the new Kias. The new Sorento is really great. The new Kia Niro EV is a solid electric vehicle. The new Kia EV6 coming out is a great electric vehicle. The Kia Carnival manages to get almost the same performance. It's just a solid machine. The K5 is a great machine as well. Kia is producing really good cars. So if you still have it in your mind that late 90s, early 2000s Kia is the same Kia and the same Hyundai that we see today, you are sadly mistaken. And I urge you to go drive one, because $36,000 today, sure, go get, hey, you do you, bro. Get your front-wheel drive Toyota Camry. Get your front-wheel drive Accord 2.0T Touring. I'm going to be over here doing burnouts, sliding off ramps, having the time of my life in a Kia Stinger. But on that bombshell, guys, we do have to end today. I do have a hard stop. I will see everyone tomorrow, and I'm excited to talk car news as always. Love you all. Brandon, Tim, George, Michael, Ben, everybody that tuned in. Appreciate it. I will see you guys tomorrow, and then we got a little bit of a break. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Tim says, trade it in 2 or 3 years. The Honda will be worth more. The Stinger may be a supercar bargain in the used market in a couple years. No doubt about it, Tim. It already is. You can get Stinger twin turbo V6s for $30,000. Check it out. That's a lot of car for the money.